think I'm recording. Okay, this is really weird, but this is the only way I could think to do this, where I could show the spreadsheet on screen and then click and talk through it at the same time. So hopefully this works. Let me show you what I've made, or what I've updated, because it's what I genuinely do use monthly to get my personal and my household finances in a pretty good state. I used to be terrible with money, in that I'm the kind of person that if you have my bank account and I just get paid and it's got like hundreds of pounds in it, I just think that I can spend that immediately. Like, we'll go to the bar and I'll just be like, oh my god, I'll get around it, like, do you want a drink? It's daft. And I always end up like scraping the barrel and then like dipping into the overdraft at the end of the month, even though I have plenty of money. I earn okay and I don't have that many outgoings, so this should not be happening to me. So what I'm about to show you isn't really my invention. I have my old boss, Ollie, was really awesome, helped me set it up. I also have just added to it over the months and years, so it's getting a little bit more refined every time I use it. And for me, this is only possible because I use Monzo, but you could use any of those like instant banks, where what you'll soon see that I use and depend on is the ability to move money aside into separate pots. I think you could probably do that with a normal bank, to be honest. You could have your current account and then like a separate account that you put your spending money in. We'll see. So let me share my screen. I'm hoping it's still going to keep recording. Like that. There we go. And what I'll do is make this spreadsheet available as a template or something, so that other people can use it if they find it useful. But before you start, what you do need is your take-home salary. So that is the information about, you can get it from your bank account, literally what hits your account every month. So that's your salary after you've paid your tax, your national insurance, your student loan, pension, whatever else that you pay out. So literally what money you get in the account at the end of the month. If it's appropriate and you're running a household with somebody else, your partner or your housemate's take-home salary as well. I'll come on to that bit in a minute. This is not just how I've managed to control my spending, but also understand in our household who has to spend the certain amount to make up the final output. We don't spend the same amount. We don't split everything down the middle, and you'll see what I do that in a minute. And then your monthly committed spending. So that's for your house, your rent, mortgage, utility, but anything personal as well. So your direct debits, that might be gym membership or phone bill, for example, and also your saving targets, what you would like to be able to save a month. And actually what we might find is that this saving targets is decided sort of for you as you go along. You'll see what you're able to achieve rather than setting unrealistic goals. So let me show you, we'll go down here to the personal spending tab first. We'll come back to the joint account very shortly. What I've got here, and this isn't my exact figures, by the way, I tried to put in sort of quite round numbers or average numbers to make it a bit easier to see. You'd need to fill these out with your own personal numbers. But what I've got here is essentially an understanding for me of what money I have for myself each month, how much of that I have to spend on certain things, my committed spending, how much I'm going to save every month, and the rest for spending and how I can spend that. So let's start at the very top. Let's imagine that my monthly take-home salary is £1,500. The first thing I've got in here is contribution to joint account. Now, if you don't have a joint account because you're living alone or you are living in a house share or whatever, you function slightly differently, you don't have to listen to this bit, but I think you should still run a similar exercise. For me anyway, my contribution to my joint account, which I'll show you in the tab below just now, is a certain amount per month, and that does my rent and my bills and my food and certain shared goals. And after all those things have come out, the rest of the money is just mine. So forget the rest of the sheet for a minute. Let's snip down here to the joint account tab. The way this has worked out is all based around the ideology that we don't split our expenses half and half in this household, because my partner earns quite a lot more than I do. And the fairest way we decided, and I can't recommend enough, the fairest way to split your household spending is not an equal amount of money, but an equal percentage of what you earn. So I can only afford a certain amount of money. Let's imagine it's 30% of my salary on a certain item. I would only want Elliot to spend 30% of his salary on a certain item rather than him spend more. So hopefully this will become obvious as we go through, but the idea is not that you split the bills half and half, you split them in a percentage that reflects how you contribute to the amount. I don't know if I've made that more difficult. Let's see. So to work this out, we've worked out what my monthly take-home salary is. Let's pretend it's £1,500. And my partner's take-home salary, let's imagine that Elliot earns £2,500. That would give our combined monthly take-home salary, so we're adding A to B there, of £4,000 per month coming into the flat. And that's all the money we have to live. Now, what is the important part of this is understanding how much of that £4,000 I give and how much of that £4,000 Elliot gives. So you can work out what your contribution to that could or should be by essentially taking your monthly salary, so that's A, and dividing it by the combined take home, which is C, and turning that into a percentage. So of that combined take home, 37.5% of it comes from me and 62.5% of it comes from Elliot. That's just how much money we have. So when all the resources are pooled on a raw sense of things, 37.5% are mine and 62.5% are his. And that's where we start off. What we then do is use those percentages throughout everything we have. So rent, bills, you'll see as I go through. I pay for 37.5% of everything and Elliot could pay for 62.5% of everything. And what that does, I haven't put that here in the chart actually, and I wish I had. If I can do it later and follow up, I will. But it means that we are both contributing an equal amount of our own money, even though they're unequal or unequal percentages. Let's come back to that point. But if you're happy to do that, which this does, you can see how that can apply to everything throughout. So let's imagine that our monthly rent was £1,200 a month. We can work out how much I need to contribute to that by taking my monthly contribution percentage X up the top there, 37.5, and putting that of the rent, which is £450. And Elliot's monthly contribution percentage, which is Y above, and that's 62.5%, so he'll pay that amount. Those amounts together add up to the full amount of £1,200. And you can do that for everything on the list. So all our utility bills we have in our house, gas, electric, water, internet and council tax. You might have others. I've estimated what those costs are monthly here and listed them out. You should, if you can, do this from your actual bills so you get a really precise figure. And we did exactly the same exercise. So if gas is £50 a month, I pay 37.5% of it, Elliot pays 62.5% of it. And we do that for electric, we do that for water, we do that for broadband, and our monthly totals are below. So of all our utilities add up to £225, for example, I'd pay 84.38 and Elliot would pay 140.63. And we do that as well for our additional costs. Now, not necessarily in the same way. So for groceries and household items, loo roll, food, shampoo, Hoover bags, literally anything that is a household thing that should not be coming out or we don't want to spend our play money on, we allow for that. What we do is take a 10% of your existing salary and put that in there. So this monthly cost column here, the 400, populates from the other two fields. So you can put in 10% of your salary, or my salary at 1,500 would be 150. 10% of Elliot's salary at 2,500 would be 250, which means you've got £400 a month for all those necessities, which is about £100 a week. Seems sensible, right? It's a good starting point. We also have a monthly holiday savings between us. We want to put aside £100 every month so that at the end of the month, end of the year, you've got £1,200 to go on holiday with. Awesome. And we do that in the same way. You can either do this as the percentage, or there might be certain things like what I've got down below here, the house deposit savings, that you feel more comfortable splitting 50-50. For us, a holiday, not necessarily. So I'll just contribute the amount that I can bring home. Elliot will contribute the amount that he can bring home. But for a house deposit savings pot, when or if we buy a house together, which we're saving to do, we want to be able to go into that agreement 50-50, both with the same amount of money, both having contributed the same amount. So we don't split that particular one by salary percentage, we just split it down the middle. Bearing in mind, we make sure that it is achievable for me, the lower earner. We take what is the most that I feel comfortable contributing, and he matches it. So in this instance, I've said we'll each spend £150 a month into the savings account, which is £300 a month. Then what you can find down here is our monthly total. We're saving £800 a month, or we're putting aside £800 a month for additional costs. Elliot's giving away slightly more than I am because of his larger salary. Scroll all the way down. I've set this up so that all the formulas pull in. So what it does is it basically works out into that household joint account every month. We need to pay £2,225 to cover all our expenses and any additionals. And of that breakdown, I will take or contribute £871.88, and Elliot will contribute £1,353.13. Now that looks like quite a big difference between the numbers, but if I can work out quickly how to do some live maths here, you'll see that it's the same percentage. So if we do equals this cell divided by, so that's my contribution divided by my take home. Bollocks, that didn't work because it went into a pound sign. If I turn it into a percentage, cool, that's 58.13% of my take home. It's not going to work perfectly because of this one line here where we don't actually, where we each go half and half, but hopefully it'll come out a really similar figure. So here, my partner's contribution, if we do this sum divided by his take home, 54%. Again, I'll change that into percentage. So it hasn't worked perfectly because of the one instance up here where we don't split it by, but you can see what I mean here is that even though they're big different amounts of money, that is the same difference to this as that is to this. I hope I've explained that well. If not, we can talk about it later. Okay, so now that that's done, let's go back into personal spending. And I'll talk you through here. So what I do essentially after that task, make sure that all those things for the joint account are taken care of, put away, sorted. We can live and eat and not make any fuck ups there. We then come on to me personally, my money that's just mine, not sharing with Elliot because haha, it's mine. So personal money, I start again with my monthly take home figure, which is £1,500 in this instance. And then the next thing I do is minus that figure we just discussed. So then I take away my contribution to the joint account. Again, if you haven't got a joint account, I suggest you do that anyway with a utilities and bills account, so that you always start your personal spending month off by going your take home minus your expenses. And then I end here with the amount of money that's just mine, my monthly personal money is left over. So already, instead of getting excited at 1,500 hit in my bank account, I know that I've only got 628.13 to spend because I need the other money for other stuff. But I drill it down even further than that. I'm a real control freak and I really segment it. So let's keep going so we can see what happens. What I do after that is I list out all my committed spending. So for me, that's my personal phone bill, my personal commuter train ticket in and out of work, which I'm unfortunately not paying for at the moment, but you'd see what I mean. I also play hockey once a week, so I have a monthly sports club sub. But you might also have in here anything like Netflix, Spotify, gym membership, anything that's on a direct debit, list out here and subtotal that up. So actually, I haven't got 628 quid to spend because I've got to spend £180 of it on my committed spending. So what I do is total that up and again, take that out of here. So I now know that I'm down to 448.13. I know it sounds depressing because the amount's getting less and less and less, but what this does do is mean at the end of it, you just see what you've got and you spend what you've got rather than overspending. The next step I do before I start totaling, divvying it up and heading to the shops is I then try and save something at the beginning of every month. So I've got 2 savings accounts running at the moment personally. You remember I had a house deposit account and a holiday account joint with Elliot in the other joint spreadsheet section. But for me personally, I'm saving for my 30th birthday, which is just under 2 years away. So £20 a month isn't going to sound like very much, but what does that actually end up as? £240 a year. So that's like 400, nearly 500 quid if I save for 2 years. I hope that's right, my mental maths. So I just put a little bit aside in that pot every month, and it will just quietly build until I want to redeem it on a big party. And I have my personal savings account, which I try and put as much in as I possibly can, even if it's just 50 quid, put something in it every month, whatever you can afford or feel like you can do. For me, this savings account isn't for anything in particular, but it's, I call it, and I think this comes from a film, but it's not a film I've seen. Elliot once described this to me as the position of FU, which basically means that this account is for me, and it's my sort of little gold mine, I suppose, so that if for any reason I lost my job, I broke up with my boyfriend, I had to spend a big expense on something unexpected, I've got this pot where I have ongoing savings that I can like rescue myself from. It gives me the option to be able to say fuck you to anything in my life. Okay, not on the first month where you just have 50 quid in it, but if you do that for every month for 10 years, you're going to have a little pot there. Anyway, all that's done. Every month I'm saving, in this instance, £70. So I take that from the 448, and now my remaining spending money every month finally would be £378.13. That is the true amount that I actually have to spend out of the £1,500. If I just start blowing it all on cocktails, it's not going to last me, and I'm going to end up in trouble. So once I've got my 338, you could just leave that in your bank account. I really recommend every instance before then you transfer this stuff away somewhere else. In Monzo, you can create a bills pot. I've got my separate joint account. I've got my separate savings pots. So I literally scurry it all away so that on payday, like half an hour after I've been paid, my bank account will say the leftover spending money amount. I go a step further than that even, and I divvy it up. If it's £378 a month, I divide it by 4, and I give myself weekly spending pots. So every week, at the beginning of the week, assuming a month has 4 weeks in it, if it's got 4.5 or 5, you need to stretch this out a bit more. But assuming it's got 4 weeks in it, I know I've got £94.53 to spend every week. And then that is mine to do literally whatever I want with. So if I want to blow it all in one go on an amazing dress, then I can do that. If I want to spend it bit by bit every day in Pret a Manger, I can do that. It's so much easier not to overspend. If you get midway through the week, go to buy something and then you go, oh wait, I've only got £30 left this week, before you give yourself the next budget the next week to spend. So that's that. I hope that helps. And then what I'll do is I'll send you this spreadsheet so we can actually like try it on your own amount. It's changed my life. I'm saving more money than I ever saved before. I'm not overspending, and I'm still actually getting, in this instance, or depending on my salary's gone up and down like nobody's business during COVID because of furlough and stuff. So you have to have the flexibility to revise this quite often. But if you've got a structure, you can do that. But it just shows that even when you've put all that aside, you could have up to £100 a week to spend on just fun stuff for you. Cool. Hope that was helpful. If you've got any questions, just let me know. Okay, thanks.